Welcome to this episode on the real reason you're not further along in fulfilling your mission. Have you ever thought to yourself, I know I'm meant for something more. I've made all the right moves. Why am I not further along? If so, you're going to love this episode because the guides and I are going to dive into the real reason why you're not further along in fulfilling your mission, as well as give you insights to the number one thing to focus on, to work on right now, as well as the skills to master. So, the number one reason, the real reason you're not further along in your mission is most likely because it's time to move from your established expertise into your highest contribution. So, your established expertise is what you have developed through your education, through your experience. Most likely, if you're tuning in here, it's not your first rodeo. You already have developed a high level of expertise and are very much thriving in your zone of excellence. Thriving meaning that you probably received accolades for what you've been up to. You've created success. You have a current level of success. And yet there's something that just seems to be like a speed bump or slowing you down, or there's some capacity block or some restlessness within you. So, the number one thing to focus on is to really go inward and upward to gain clarity about what your highest contribution is. Because your established expertise is known. It's something that you already know, you've developed, you're in it. And your highest contribution is an extension of what you've already been up to, yet it's up leveled, and it really has to do with kind of the highest reason that you incarnated in this lifetime. And so to really have clarity on that, what your highest contribution is, it's important to go inward and upward because, again, most likely if you're tuning in here, you're a visionary, you're an innovator, you have a role to play in leading the elevation in consciousness on the planet, with your clients, with those that you come into contact with. And so that desire for more stems from really the reason that you have incarnated in this lifetime. And so when you are an innovator, when you're a visionary, it doesn't work for you to kind of follow cookie cutter ways, or to look around and see exactly what it is that you are meant for. And that's why it's really important to go inward, to tune in and to gain clarity from your highest self, your highest guidance, your future self, where it is that you're headed, as well as to turn upward, which is to really be willing to step into even more levels of success and more levels of awareness. So let me give you an example from my life, which really kind of indicates this stage in consciousness, or where you may be if you're resonating with this, like, why am I not further along? And I remember, and this is kind of way back, and you'll have different cycles of this in really expressing your highest contribution. But I really remember when it was very clear to me. I got clarity by going inward and upward, by connecting with the guides and my higher self, and really getting still and tuning into my head and my heart, and bringing union between those, where I realized it was time for me to stop teaching my teacher's modalities and to stop practicing my teacher's modalities. So I had been a trained massage therapist and Reiki master and other energy techniques, and I was teaching those, and I was sharing those in my sessions. And it really became clear to me that it was time to partner with Source and to leave those known and established modalities that were working. I really, as soon as I started my business, I didn't ever have a side hustle. Like it was financially viable for me to work full time. And again, I'm really talking kind of back in the day here, but it's such a good example. It's the one that I really wanted to share with you. And yet, to go from what was known and tested and also generated security into going into the uncharted territory and the unknown and the untested, there really was this deep calling that I had. And then also, of course, that some trepidations in making that move from my established expertise into my highest contribution, because my highest contribution was always calling me forward to really say, well, how can I contribute the most to others, to the planet, to myself? And that had me seeking and leading, surfing the leading wave of what was known, because there was just something inside of me that just knew that actually I was meant for more, and that I had something unique to bring forward. And so do you. And that really is the key to focus on. The number one thing to focus on is really gaining clarity. And when I say gaining clarity, going inward, you may turn inward and go into a state of meditation, or really be listening to what's emerging within you, to get quiet in what matters most to you. And by upward, I mean simultaneously, like tuning into your highest self. If you have a relationship with guides, asking the guides, or directly with Source or the divine. So this turning upward is that. And then it also may be turning upward by working with a mentor, by having someone who is really with you and seeing your uniqueness and is facilitating you tapping into that inward and upward. And by upward, I also mean beyond the slower vibrational fears that may come up when we look at moving from our established expertise into our highest contribution. Usually, our highest contribution is an extension of our established expertise, and it's also something new. It's something that blends spirit and matter. It blends, again, like your physical plane expertise with your highest self mojo. It's usually a combo platter of very tangible, practical, physical skill sets that you have with your superpowers, with your unique magic, your highest contribution in the world. And so as you are turning inward and upward to gain clarity on that, it is natural to look around you and to see what others are up to. And that can be a way to have greater clarity. And it only gets you so far, because what I know, if you're tuning in here, and also for the clients that it's my highest contribution to partner with is that you're here to lead the elevation in consciousness. You're here to add to the area of expertise that you have, or the industry that you're in, or to something that you've learned or studied. You're here to take what is known into an alchemized higher expression. You're here to add to, you're here to innovate, you're here to pioneer. And when you're on the leading wave of consciousness, and you're on your own leading wave of navigating, oof, okay, I'm really feeling called to move into my highest contribution. And yet with that, there comes different trepidations. And so the skills to master at this stage in the game, at this evolutionary stage in the game, as you're focusing on the number one thing is to gain clarity by going inward and upward. The skills to master is really tapping into your inner knowing, to discern between logic and the heart, and to also heal or bring into alignment any internal conflict that you may have, so that you can become your most aligned, authentic, highest expression self. So often when you're having this pull of like, I know I'm meant for something more, and you know it's time to move from your established expertise, your zone of excellence, into your zone of genius, into your highest contribution, most of the time there'll be this internal conflict that's happening between the head that says, okay, why would I leave this? This is working well, or this is known, and the logic of trying to figure it out too, where maybe you've spent sleepless nights like trying to figure out like what's the next move, or going like I've made all the right moves, and why hasn't that worked? And yet if you could figure out your highest contribution, what you're really meant to be and do and have and contribute in this lifetime, like you would have done it already. So logic alone is not going to get you there. And then also your heart that's calling you forward, that has a passion that says, let's go in this direction. And then that internal conflict between the head and the heart really can be aligned or recalibrated by really mastering how to bring duality into oneness, how to bring two sides of you into oneness or wholeness. I really loved when I was teaching Kundalini yoga, I learned an established expertise that I left in the dust a while ago, but I loved that I learned this, that there's the negative mind, and there's the positive mind, and then there's the neutral mind. So the negative mind may be saying like, well, if I really embrace my woo side, will someone think I'm crazy, or will I lose clients, or uh, will I go crazy, or maybe you've been on the other side, like I've experienced more, where it was more about embracing my physical plane contribution, my adeptness in being an entrepreneur, and sharing more of that as a part of my highest contribution. So regardless if it's kind of the head that and the heart that are going like, well, this is the logical path, this is the known path, or this is the path of the heart, or the positive or the negative mind, that the neutral mind, and really that the highest self, can navigate that, take in all the information, yet really moving forward from a state of knowing. And so tapping into your inner knowing is a skill set that you already have, one question and one secret reason I feel like a lot of our clients work with us at Divine Transmissions is that they see how I partner with the guides, and they want that. And yet you and they may think like, oh, there's something that's special about me, and that I can do that. And I have a lot of hours of experience, my established expertise and partner with the guides and channeling and accessing information and other lifetimes. And yet everybody can access your inner authority, your higher guidance, and you have your unique ways of doing that. You have your signature signals of how it works for you, and it's going to work for you in a way that's different than how it is that works for me. But I just want to assure you that you 100% have the capacity to go inward and to go upward. You have the capacity to discern really that highest contribution, to have clarity on that from your highest self guidance, from partnering with the energies of the guides and directly with the divine. And usually also another skill to master at this point is really reconciling the inner conflict. It's really resolving the inner conflict, because anything we project out onto others, like what might others think, or the survival instinct comes up to say, okay, you got to keep the status quo because the status quo is known, and the survival instinct, just like the subconscious mind, is really there to, the higher purpose of it is to keep your body safe so that you can fulfill the mission that you are here to fulfill. Yet often the survival instinct or separation consciousness has these overlays of a distorted job description, and then they start being the bottleneck to moving forward, because the survival instinct is going to be having a voice that's saying, don't change. And then your heart will go, well, I want to change. And then it'll be like, well, how can you can't change without changing? And then it's this kind of this loop that you can get stuck in. And so really aligning those inner conflicts, recalibrating them, recognizing that whatever you may be saying or wondering about, like what will others think, is often already going on inside of you. That internal conflict, that internal struggle that's going on within you is really requiring you to navigate, to master the skill of bringing that into a reconciliation, a resolution. Because your highest contribution, from my perspective and working with clients and what the guides say, it usually is going to be these two sides of you working hand in hand together. These very strong aspects of you that may be and may have been in some kind of a inner arm wrestle for years, that bringing them together into unity and at their most current and highest level really most likely is the foundation of your highest contribution. And so you most likely have a lot of tools and techniques already. And yeah, I'm a big proponent and fan as well of partnering with other practitioners, leaders, having a mentor. Maybe you're called to work with the guides in me, and we have a way to support you as well in having greater clarity on your highest contribution. Our newest offering at the time of this recording, which is our highest contribution audit and activation, because sometimes what you're here for, it's like, you can't see the forest for the trees, because it's so much a part of you that, yes, you absolutely can go inward and know what matters most to you. And at the same time, it can at times be challenging to recognize. And so the guides and I are supporting and facilitating those conscious experts and practitioners and entrepreneurs and leaders of consciousness, established and emerging, to really have some support during this time where it's time to get even more clarity and to get even more clarity about your unique blend of your highest contribution and what it is that you're here to bring forward. And so you have a lot of techniques to master the skill set of the inner conflict, and so encouraging you to embrace those, and then also to be reaching upward, outward, where aligned, to partner with others to assist you in really bringing those aspects together. And sometimes it's, especially when there's a established expertise that gets folded into as a part of your highest contribution, sometimes it's also about the highest or the established expertise being updated, being brought into the current level, like having that newest lens, the newest job description. Because I know, as I've been on my path in my career as well since my early 20s, so going on 30 years here, that it seems like when I start talking about clarity of your established expertise and success and time to move into your highest contribution, that can seem like something that happens earlier on. And yet, regardless of how established you are, like me and also our clients that are established, experts in their field and also in the transformational industry, we're always emerging into a greater level of clarity. We're always emerging into that most current aligned version of us. And so being willing to go into not only reconciling those two aspects of us that most likely are the key to our highest contribution, also having support to upgrade them, to take them to the next level, which is also what we assist with in our Divine Light Activation program. That's a part of our larger academy as well, where we offer a way to systematically complete or bring into wholeness those yeah buts, those survival instincts, and then to turn on and to upgrade into your highest contribution, which is a combination of your genius, your unique genius, your vision that you incarnated with in this lifetime, the mission that you're here for. That again, it is this shift from what is established into pioneering, leading, adding something new. So as we're wrapping up here, I just want to review what has been shared and just inviting you to kind of allow it to settle in, that most likely the real reason why you're not further along in your mission is that it's time to move beyond your established expertise into your highest contribution. And the number one thing to focus on when you recognize that it's time to get clarity on your highest contribution is really going inward and upward for that clarity, and to surround yourself with individuals that are supporting you to tap into what you know, what only you can be and do and have in this lifetime. And that the skill sets to master are really discerning between the head and the heart, and bringing into oneness or wholeness any internal conflict that you may have. And one thing that I feel like I want to close with is that the funniest thing about this kind of ticket to get into this life is that there has been this forgetting process, and that it may seem odd, and yet it's also natural that you have some resistance to your highest contribution, because your highest contribution is being in your seat of power. And being in your seat of power, being willing to be the difference that you are, that really, it's natural if there's some resistance to that. And that your highest contribution may also not be exactly what you thought it was going to be. And I see this all the time with our clients. And maybe you've heard of this, or you've experienced it, or you've seen it yourself, where there's like the reluctant shaman, or the like, maybe you've been a business coach for a long time, and yet it's time for you to embrace what you've been doing on the side of all your spiritual adeptness, and to be sharing that into a new hybrid of like Akashic record business coaching, or some kind of blend that really brings together. I know for me, as I've been on the energy side of things for a long time, and in my adeptness as a channel, as a leader in the elevation and consciousness. However, when I really got clear that my highest contribution also included my expertise as an entrepreneur, as being someone who can actualize in the physical plane, and to really share about abundance and model abundance and talk about abundance, and also to really assist others in not only the energy planes but also on the physical plane, this applied spirituality, that there were times where I was reluctant to really blending them. And yet I knew from going inward and upward that that was what I was here to add to. That was what I was here to lead to. That my highest contribution is to really be able to be blending the higher planes and the physical plane in a way that is like this applied spirituality. So don't be surprised or shy away if there's an aspect of you that may be like a little reluctant at some point along the line to moving forward with your highest contribution, because the part of you that was in the survival instinct will recognize that means you're going to be in a greater state of your seat of power. And that's where, again, the skill sets to master are your inner slower vibrational body, mind, emotions. So thank you so much for tuning into this episode. If you have enjoyed what I've been laying down here, please feel free to share it, to leave a review. And if you'd like to find out more about our highest contribution audit and activation, you can reach out to us on our website, daniellehoffman.com. So sending you much love and blessings and acknowledgement for the highest contribution that you're here to share, and your contribution to the elevation in consciousness.